Hey guys, Jordan here. In this video, I'm going to go over real estate photography editing basics for beginners. So let's get into it. All right, so before I begin, if you are new to real estate photography and are looking to learn a lot on the topic, you can subscribe and check out my videos. That's all I talk about on this channel is real estate photography. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to subscribe. And so today I'm going to be doing it super basic. Basically how to edit your real estate photos if you're a brand new beginner. And in this particular case, I took a few pictures with my iPhone. So even starting with a cell phone, this is how I would edit them. So what I've done so far is I've airdropped two pictures, one of an interior, one of an exterior, from my iPhone to my computer. So now I'm going to transition over to my computer and import and just go over the basics of Lightroom, because that's the platform that I recommend today, at least in 2022, for editing real estate photography. All right, so we're over here. I've opened Lightroom. I'm going to go to import. I have a little folder that I put on my desktop with the two pictures in it. So let's go here, other source, and we'll go desktop. All right, so here we go. 1/1 import. Okay, I'm not gonna import with anything. I'm just gonna select none, just so that we can go over some of the settings. I have different presets and whatnot. So anyways, first things first, let me go back to the phone, right? So there are a few settings that you want to, if you're shooting with the phone, you want to make sure that you're shooting RAW. Now with the iPhone, just with the native camera application, you can shoot raw images right there, and what that's going to do for you is going to give you a lot more information on your pictures, which is very important for real estate photography, because we like to bring in details from the highlights and the shadows, and it just makes for a much better image because you have more information. All right, so let's go over here. So this is the library. Let's go over to develop. Now I'm just going to go over. So on the right hand side, they have all the basic adjustments here. At the end of the day, you're just trying to get to your end result to deliver to your customer. This one, in my opinion, is very dark. It looks a little bit different. So if you're brand new, you can click auto. That might get you somewhere closer to where you want to be, but you're likely going to want to adjust a bit. Now this particular image looks very, very noisy, I guess, and that's something that you're gonna have to deal with if you're shooting with an iPhone. So let's just make it look good. We won't focus so much on that. So I like to brighten it up, a brighter room, right? But as we brightened up the exposure of the overall image, you can see that we have less detail outside of the window. So then we can reduce our highlights and bring some of that information back. You can see how now we can see outside. You can also do it so the highlights are down to -100. You can bring down whites as well, but you got to kind of watch out for whites, because sometimes it'll make like white cabinets and stuff like that look really, really weird. And then you can also boost shadows if you would like as well. Now, all right, so this looks pretty good from a exposure to me, but the tint looks a little bit magenta, right? So on the tint setting, if you look over here on the upper right here, upper right, you have temperature and you have tint. Now I will tell you that I like editing with one of these. So this is called a Loop Deck Live tool, and instead of coming over here and having to really fine tune your scroll left and right with your mouse, it's a lot easier to do so with one of these knobs, right? You can really fine tune it. I don't have tint on this one. I haven't customized it like I have my other computer, but if you get into it more, that might be a tool that you want to look into. So anyways, what I'm looking for is just for it to look like it did when I did. You can or when I was shooting it, right? You can also take this little picker tool, and you can click on the ceiling or something white in the room, like a baseboard, and that might get you closer to what you're looking for. Now, in my opinion, when I set that white balance, it looks a little bit too cool, so I'm going to bring it back up. 3911, that looks pretty accurate. And then on the tint side of things, -3, I think that looks pretty good. Not too green or not too magenta. It looks pretty natural. So not bad. Okay, one more thing if you're shooting with an iPhone. So these are like the basic adjustments, right? Exposure. I don't usually mess with contrast too much. You can do so. You know, if you're new to real estate photography editing, I'll go over the main things, which are exposure, highlights, shadows, the whites. But you can use all of these things, right? Like vibrance, saturation, and really fine tune the style of photography that you want. I don't recommend editing one picture a certain way and then another one from scratch, right? You want to get a similar look and feel to your real estate photos. You can also do it by regions here, highlights, shadows. Sometimes, okay, let's come down here. So lens compen correction, right? So this is important. It looks like it's already corrected because I don't see too much of a fisheye, but you can remove chromatic aberration and enable profile correction. And I don't know if they have Apple iPhone in here. iPad mini. I shot with iPhone 13 Pro. Now I don't know. It's the ultra wide, so it would be the widest. I guess it would be this one, the 9mm. Okay, it did correct it a little bit, so you can see what I'm talking about. Just a little bit, not too bad though. And then this one right here. So if your camera or your phone is slightly crooked, you can click on this, hit auto, and it'll straighten it out oh so slightly, depending on how far off it is. So these are very important tools for real estate photography: the transform tool, lens correction. Obviously you can mess around with the noise reduction, sharpening. This tool right here I like a lot. So I usually will work, you can do luminance as well, but a lot of times saturation, this little picker tool right here. So if you're looking at your image and you're like, you know what, it's too yellow, you can click over here, and I'll do the flooring, right? Click on the flooring and then drag down. You see how it desaturates the color that you selected, which is a little bit of red and a little bit of orange. So I didn't necessarily need to do it for this image, but I just wanted to show you how it works. All right, so this one is good to me. Let's go to the outside shots, and I wanted to get an interior and an exterior because they're kind of two different things. We can start by hitting auto if you want, and just kind of we want the profile correction. And actually, if you have already edited this one, let's copy this one, and let's copy everything, lens correction and everything, because it's just going to save some time when you're editing here. Okay, you can see how bright that is, but look, I don't have to select that. It's already straightened it out. And so clearly we're bringing down the saturation. Here we can bring these back to middle how they were. Let's hit auto real quick. Just have it self-adjust a little bit. All right. So here, I would say bring up the shadows, bring down highlights. This is very typical for an exterior picture of for real estate. Probably the saturation is a bit much. Some of the colors look a bit too much, like the blue here, in my opinion. And then I'll probably make it a little bit warmer. Yeah, not too bad. You can see how this line isn't perfectly straight. It did fix it a little bit, but yeah, you can manually adjust it, but you can see how the colors look a little bit crazy in my opinion. So I'm going to bring down the vibrance and the saturation just to make it look a little bit more realistic. Now let me just look at the temperature, maybe slightly more warm. That looks pretty good. I'm not trying to go crazy here. I just want it to look pretty accurate for what it looked like when I was there at the property. So anyways, so that was the interior, that was the exterior of the iPhone. Now the last thing, if you're editing iPhone pictures, is that the aspect ratio is not 3:2. That's your standard photo from a DSLR, and it's not. So you'll go up here to the crop tool. We can change it from original to this 2x3/4x6. It's the same thing, and you can see how it'll crop the top and bottom. You can move it if you want it to crop more top and bottom, but I thought that looked pretty good. And then same thing here, we'll crop it 2x3. I'll probably bring it down. I don't know. I think it looks all right. I was thinking about getting that little sun out of there, but all right, that's pretty much it. And then here, I don't like that crooked line, so I'm just gonna bring it in a little bit so it's not so noticeable. That looks pretty good to me. And so you can see you can get a whole lot of detail in Lightroom shooting on an iPhone. You know, obviously I don't necessarily recommend shooting with a cell phone all the time, but maybe that's the only tool you have. And at the end of the day, your customer's paying you for an end product, not necessarily for the tool that you use. So if iPhone or whatever, you can get some amazing video footage out of this as well with some incredible dynamic range. But anyways, this video was really focused on the basics of real estate photography editing in Lightroom, which is the platform I recommend using if you're new to real estate photography. I think it's probably the best, most efficient for most beginner real estate photographers. So if you guys have any additional follow-up questions or things related to real estate photography that you want me to discuss, leave them in the comment section below. I'll be sure to touch on those and get back to you. If you got value out of this video, hit the like button, and we'll see you guys on the next one.